In today's weekly Forex forecast, we are talking about dollar index DXY, XAU USD, gold, GBP USD, euro dollar, GBP JPY, and dollar yen. Now, before we get into that, we had last week $200 worth of NFP coupon to join the lifetime access plan to get access to all our VIP trades as well as all our trading indicator and tools, which is still available but ending in 24 hours. You can find link below this video along with the coupon. You can use it towards the lifetime access checkout before it is ending. With that in mind, let's begin this week's weekly Forex forecast. Upcoming week ending on 14th of June 2024. So this is a very important week coming up. As we have seen past week, NFP has been released and we have seen a very good movement, a breakout on gold and dollar index as expected. And we see a very clear direction in the market at the moment. So let's do the multi-time frame analysis beginning with the DXY. Now before I progress further, make sure traders you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. So without further delay, let's begin. Okay, traders, so let's begin first of all with DXY, as DXY will give us clear direction of most of the USD pair as well as on gold. Starting with the monthly chart to see highest time frame, to see overall direction in the market. Now we can see that after the monthly close as expected, after the previous monthly close as a series of higher low, this month once the market has broken that low, it became an overextended market. And from that overextension, we can see that DXY had an unusual bounce to the upside. Now, this is after this unusual bounce, what we can expect on DXY for the price to go ahead and retest this resistance level. If we look at the weekly chart, we can see further clearer picture on DXY. And this weekly candle is quite significant. As we can see, previous week there is a doji and followed by another narrow green candles. And what we can see, this weekly candle has crossed all this liquidity zone, broken all of this low, grabbed the massive liquidity and has gone up, closed as a pin bar. Now this weekly pin bar, what we can expect it to remain bullish as the market has broken all this low, grabbed the massive liquidity. And there is a reversal pattern here, expecting for DXY to remain bullish to create a new higher high. If we look at the daily chart, where we can see that from the daily, this is the daily support where the market has formed a higher low with a double bottom formation from this extreme liquidity zone. And this daily bullish engulfer has crossed this low, has formed a massive bullish rejection with the NFP, which is in fact a fake drop initially, and we have seen a breakout that might lead now DXY to trend in that direction to create a new higher high. So looking at further lower time frame, where we can see the market has broken that structure completely, and with this breakup structure, as the price is broken out of that structure, which might lead this price to trend in that direction. But at the same time, we saw the last day of the trading with the NFP, with this impulse, the market made significant move, expecting it to now come down for a deeper pullback. Now that pullback could lead that price back to this previous resistance, which is turning support, before it continue to trend in the major direction. So this is what I'm expecting on DXY this week, to come down initially for a deeper pullback, or we could see a consolidation here, liquidity grab, and then bounce back towards the upside. This is where we will be waiting for DXY to give us potential entry opportunity. As soon as we will find suitable entry on DXY, we will be looking for going long with a high probability trade setup. So with that in mind, let's look at the euro dollar, how this DXY and euro dollar, they are mirror to each other. Let's look at again to see overall picture, looking at the monthly chart on euro USD. Now from the monthly we can see that there was a bullish engulfer on the monthly, and what we can see that this month the price has broken that high and grabbed that liquidity, has crossed to the downside. From the monthly, the price has broken that high and has got immediate rejection towards the downside on euro dollar. Now with that rejection, expecting for this price to drop further to this support level from the monthly. And if we look at the weekly chart, what you can see that from the weekly, after this weekly doji, the market has broken to the upside, has crossed all this high, grabbed that liquidity, and then form as a bearish engulfer. And with this bearish engulfer on euro dollar from the weekly, expecting for this price to go ahead, grab the liquidity, and then to drop back down to this support level to create a new lower low. Now, if we look at the daily chart, where we can see there is a daily bearish candle with a very narrow candle, we have seen a narrow green candle. From that narrow green candle, we have seen an immediate rejection forming double top. And with the double top formation, the market has broken down completely. And there is a neckline here where you can see from this double top, the price has broken down with a neckline, expecting euro dollar to go ahead and retest the neckline and then to return back to the direction of the trend. So this is what we could see on euro dollar, as we are expecting to be mirror as DXY. And with NFP, we have seen a significant breakdown. So we might see that much of pullback on euro dollar, or we could see a very narrow pullback and then continuation towards the downside. Now, depending on how the price is reacting to the lower time frame, we will be looking for entry. If we see that the market is consolidating here, forming any kind of triangular structure after liquidity grab from the top, we can look for selling opportunity. But my bias on euro dollar overall is towards the downside, as we have seen that with the NFP, the market has broken down. Now let's look at British pound US dollar to see how the market is doing. Now looking at the monthly chart on British pound US dollar, we can see that from the monthly, this is the monthly rejection from the top. After breaking this monthly high, we can see that British pound US dollar has got a strong rejection towards the downside, and expecting for the price to drop further to this support level for long-term perspective on British pound US dollar. Now, if we look at the weekly chart, where we can see that from the weekly, this is the weekly doji, a very significant doji. The market has crossed that high, grabbed that liquidity, and then form a narrow long doji from the weekly perspective. And with that narrow doji, we can see that the market has made significant rejection. We have seen an impulse and liquidity grab, expecting British pound US dollar to drop back to this support level to create a new lower low, and there is a high liquidity in this area on British pound US dollar. Now, if we look at the daily chart, we can see a clearer picture where there is a doji and the market has crossed that high, grabbed the liquidity, and form a long bearish engulfer on British pound US dollar. And with this long rejection on British pound US dollar, we can see the price has made a significant drop, expecting for this price to go ahead, retest the neckline, and then to revert back. As we can see that there might be a change of trend, as we can see there is a very sharp rejection on British pound US dollar. Now from the intraday perspective, like the euro dollar, we can see that there was a massive liquidity candle followed by a bearish candle followed by another narrow candle. Now with the market open, we could see the price is respecting this resistance, or breaking that high could be another important level that we can look for on British pound US dollar. We'll be waiting for the price to go ahead and retest and then to continue to trend in that direction. So this is where we will be waiting for potential trading opportunity on British pound US dollar. As soon as we will find suitable entry, we will be looking for going short with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at gold to see what kind of price action it is making. Now looking at the monthly chart to see overall picture. Now, as you can see that in my previous weekly Forex forecast as well, we discuss about gold and we can see that gold almost following the script. Now, if you look at the monthly candlestick pattern here, there is a long week monthly doji, and if we look at the 50% of this monthly long week, you can see that gold has reached that exactly to that 50%, and then it has got a rejection from that 50% of this monthly long week candle. And what we can expect on gold now, as the market has got a rejection, expecting for the price to drop in that direction to create a new lower low. Now, if we look at the weekly chart, where we can see that there is a weekly liquidity candle formation. It's a massive liquidity candle formation on the weekly. The price has crossed the doji, grabbed the liquidity, and then we can see that there is a huge rejection, which is a very strong liquidity candle on gold. Now, as you have seen in our previous weekly Forex forecast, as we expected for the price to break that weekly and retest and then to reject, we can see the market is following that pattern. Now, what we could see in the future, if you look at this weekly trend, we can see that a trend and a pullback and a trend and a deeper pullback, and we have seen that there is a potential for higher high, but we have seen a rejection. So therefore, after this third wave, we could see now break up any of this major structure that might lead gold to be bearish for this month. And I think that for long-term perspective, we might see that gold even coming to this important liquidity zone. Now, looking at the daily chart, where we can see that there is a huge rejection from the NFP with this long bearish engulfer on the daily, and we can see that on the daily this is a support level which is turning resistance here on gold from the daily, which is a massive bearish engulfer. And with the bearish engulfer, there is a big drop, followed by, we can see that this is a support here, support here, support here, which is turning resistance here. And from the resistance, we can expect for the price to come down to create a new lower low. So we have seen a complete breakdown. We could see an initial pullback with the market open on gold. Now, what we can see, this is a huge drop on gold. That's a massive breakdown. And with this breakdown, this is a support here, support here, support here, support here, which is currently turning to resistance. And from the resistance, expecting for the price to break down again to the downside. Now, this is a big drop on gold. And what we could see, if we took at the Fibonacci perspective, where we can see the market is also aligning with this important level of support to this 38.2% Fibonacci level, which is basically an important Fibonacci zone, also an important support here, support here, support here, turning resistance. So we might see deeper pullback that I'm expecting, because we have seen already deeper move, and without proper pullback, it will not be a healthy trending market. Now, looking at the lower time frame from the 15 minutes, we can see a massive breakdown. We will wait for a couple of short trade after a break of structure from this local trend. And this is where we can look for, with the market open, break of structure. And especially if we see any of these lower time frames swing high is broken, that's where we can look for selling opportunity. And this is a very strongly falling market, so our eye will be only for potential selling on gold. Now, as soon as we will find suitable entry, we will be looking for going short with a high probability trade setup. Now, traders, if you want to trade gold, euro, dollar, GBPUSD, and dollar yen, all the instrument that we are trading, also there is a $200 additional discounted coupon was given during the NFP, which is still valid. You can find below this video in the description, which is ending in the next 24 hours. So if you haven't yet used it, you can use it to join us to become part of this trading community. So with that in mind, let's look at now yen pairs. Now, yen pair also was quite volatile past week. Now let's look at first of all GBP JPY to see how the market has done. Now looking at the monthly chart on GBP JPY, what we can see that from the monthly, this is the monthly resistance line on GBP JPY. So we have seen that in this instrument quite a few months of strong bullish move on GJ, and with this strong bull move this month so far, we have seen significant bearish drop, expecting for the price to retest and then to reject. So we have seen so far bearish momentum on GJ. Let's see that from the weekly how the price has done. Now from the weekly, as expected, we have seen after this back-to-back 4 weeks of bullish move, this week so far we have seen initial drop and a pullback. Now this is a weekly red candle that has a long wick at the bottom. So what I think that now this week we might see initial pullback and then to potential to fill that weekly long wick from the lower time frame perspective. If we look at the daily chart, where this is the daily price action, we have seen a big drop and a pullback. And again, last day of trading week, we saw a very weak response from the buyers if we compare with the seller, and also forming series of lower high in that area on GBP JPY. Now looking at the lower time frame, where we can see the market in this lower time frame on GBP JPY, this is the resistance line. And in that resistance, we can see that there was a bounce followed by 2 narrow red candles. I will be waiting on GJ to grab liquidity from any of this resistance. If you look at here, we can see this is a resistance here, expecting for GJ to move up and then to grab liquidity and then to revert back to the support level on GBP JPY. So as soon as we will find suitable entry on GJ, we will be looking for going short on GBP JPY with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at dollar yen. Let's see what kind of opportunity we have in dollar yen. Looking at again on the monthly chart, we can see that after previous monthly long wick candle with a very narrow body, this month we can see that initially it has dropped to the downside, which is the sign that the market this month also might remain bearish on dollar yen. And at the same time, the price again approaching the monthly resistance, expecting it to retest and then to return back towards the downside. Now if we look at the weekly chart, where we can see that from the weekly, this is the weekly narrow body with a long wick at the bottom. And what we can expect on dollar yen for the price to retest and then to come down to fill that long wick at the bottom from the weekly. Now if we look at the daily chart, where we can see that from the daily there is a daily bullish candle. At the same time, the market is approaching this resistance line. Because there is a daily bullish engulfer, I think that with the market open, we might see another attempt from the buyers. And this is the monthly resistance. This is where we could see the price again reverting back. So initial upside and then downside is expected on dollar yen. So if we look at the lower time frame, we can see that the market has made a bounce and it's in a consolidation pattern, expecting dollar yen to break to the upside, grab the liquidity, and then to return back in the major direction of the trend. So this is where I will be waiting on dollar yen for the price to retest and then to return back to the support level. So this is what we could see. As soon as we will find a dollar yen has grabbed the liquidity, we will be looking for going short on dollar yen with a high probability trade setup. Traders, I believe that you enjoyed this weekly Forex forecast. Make sure you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. So with that in mind, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon trading live together. Until then, stay well, stay happy.